First things first, Peter Thiel, he's a complete bitch. What is your take on that? I think you should sort of elaborate on that. Earlier you said he was a cocksucker. I think most of the people here don't actually know who Peter Thiel is. I think it's better for sort of trying to stop him and stop what Palantir is doing for people to actually be aware of it. So what's your take?
I mean, I'll kind of quickly go through this, but he's from the PayPal mafia. Palantir, he's alongside Alex Karp, one of the founders. And the guy is a bumbling idiot. He can't say anything, really. Anytime he's asked tough questions, whether it's about what's going on in Israel, because that software is being used to kill a bunch of innocent people, Lavender with Palantir. And then the Palantir software itself is incredibly invasive software, which I've actually used myself when I worked in the government. And, it collects a bunch of information, and we are going to be under, an AI-controlled world at some point because it's becoming more and more invasive and becoming more and more powerful. And make no mistake about it, J.D. Vance being vice president is what's going to usher that tech world, Silicon Valley. I mean, that's the big reason why they brought J.D. Vance in, was because of bringing that tech money in. So I do think that it's a problem for sure. And Peter Thiel is not someone who is he's not our friend. I'll say that.
Yes. Okay. And second thing, I noticed that in all of these discussions here, it's more so identifying a problem, and there's not that much of a solution.
Sure.
What would your solution be to things sort of like Israel being in our government, how we stop that, certain things like these police states that are starting to happen in Washington, D.C.? Like, what's your take on that? How do we stop sort of overreach while also turning these things into something like
with the Israel
useful?
problem, I think step one to that is simply knowledge, right? This has been a topic that's been forbidden for many decades, right? If you talked about this stuff, you question 9/11, you question the USS Liberty, you question, the Lavon affair, any of these false flags, you'd be banned immediately, right? They'd call you an anti-Semite and you're cooked. Unfortunately, after October 7th, though, it's a tragedy of because I do actually value Israeli life too, even though they don't value anybody else, and what's going on in Gaza right now. It's allowed us to have this very difficult discussion. I think step one to us being able to get rid of the Israeli influence on our geopolitical / foreign policy affairs is knowledge and education, because a lot of Americans are completely unaware of this stuff. And for the last year or two, I've seen like a transformation of us being people being aware of this topic. So I think step one is educating the American public so that they know where their politicians are getting their money. Right? 2 years ago, nobody knew what AIPAC was, right? Nobody knew about Israel. Nobody even knew what Zionism was 2 years ago. Because I remember I was talking about this before then, and if I said Zionism, they're like, what is that? So the fact that we're talking about it now is already a W. And, if we keep getting this information out there, despite the censorship, I think that's step one to taking our country back and making it an America-only, foreign policy.
Yes, and okay. Last thing, I don't fully agree with you on everything, but I do think you carry sort of a good perspective in terms of identifying problems. What would you say your advice would be to young men today? And as a second question, what would your advice be to young women in terms of sort of trying to fix the society that we live in today? There's clearly problems. It's in every facet of life, but I just want you to say what specifically like an actionable plan.
And I'll give actual constructive advice here instead of just triggering women, because I know they get mad. So I think for men need to be as competent as possible, right? I think guys need to get an education or get a trade, make as much money as they can, go to the gym, keep their looks up, be competent, be intelligent, and be in a position where you can take care of a woman and a family, right? You are the leader, you are the responsible person, you have the authority. So I think if your woman should work electively. Now for the women, look, I don't have a problem with women going to school or whatever, because I do understand that we're in a different era. It's not the 1950s, it's 2025. But I do think that women need to prioritize having a family over school and career. So if they do find a man and they do end up, because going to school will put them in line with other guys that are, that are going to be on their way up, I think they need to prioritize the family and having children, and they should be in a position where the guy is taking care of them versus, them having to work. Now, if she wants to work collectively, that's fine, but I do think that the guy's responsibility is to take care of the family, because I think kids are the most important thing, and a nuclear family thrives when, the woman is taking care of the kids versus a daycare or a babysitter or anything else like that. So I think with men, be as competent and as strong and as financially responsible as you can be, and then with women, try to find a guy, get married as soon as you can while you're still young, have kids, and let's bring America back.
Yes. Okay. And the last thing, I noticed that at the end of all these conversations you have, whenever someone's getting like mad at you, you sort of give them a little bit of rage bait or something like that. With like a couple minutes ago, you were like Indians are stinky or something. Yeah. So
It's like an hour ago.
yeah, I meant to say hour ago.
Yeah.
I might have said minute.
But they
my
do
bad.
tend to smell, let's be honest.
What I'll say about that is I think that you come from an area of trying to find like patterns and stuff like that, and instead of trying to find the good in people. I feel that if you were to become a Christian or something like that, like you said you weren't, that it would really help these conversations actually turn into something good instead of, oh, fuck you, someone in the back is yelling at you, trying to ruin your day, so you give them a one-liner back, and then you ruin their day for...
I mean, I got thick
literally
skin, man.
nothing.
I understand
Yeah.
that this type of, here's the thing, difficult conversations are going to lead to certain things, and I've accepted the fact that the way I convey my message or my message in general is not going to be palatable to a lot of people because we live in a very pussified world where people like to hear comforting lies over uncomfortable truths. So, you know, I've made peace with the fact that most people simply can't handle the truth, and that's fine. You know, and then as far as pattern recognition goes, I think pattern recognition is very important. I do think that a lot of people do recognize patterns. It's just that they're afraid to admit the fact that they're recognizing these patterns because they don't want to be called racist or, you know, bigoted or whatever it may be, and they try to, oh no, let me not be racist and let me just, like, you know, lie. But pattern recognition, I think, is very important for people to have, and I think more people do it than they'd care to admit. They just don't want to admit it.
Yes. Okay. So I think if you were to make those things more palatable, you'd get towards what you're actually trying to achieve with educating people on, let's say, the Peter Thiel situation. Some of these people aren't listening to you at all because of some of these takes that you have. Some of these people hate you. All they want to do is come up in here and yell at you. I just think if you were to
And that's fine, because here's the thing. When they come up and yell, they just show how stupid their position really is.
Yes,
and then
but-
other people are watching and they'll be like, you know what? Maybe that is a bad ideology. Because the reality is, you know, millions of people are going to see all this, right? Like, we got a couple hundred people here probably watching, whatever. But keep in mind that millions are going to be watching this, and they're going to be able to see ideologies kind of battling each other. And then they can go ahead and make a decision based on what they see. And a lot of the times they tend to agree with me. And they see, damn, this is a problem because, you know, they can't even really defend their ideology.
Yeah,
And I think that's what's important.
Sort of what I'm getting at is if you were to just have a little bit more of a peace-centered discussion, people would actually care about what you have to say more. I know most of these people just came here, heard your name, they hate you. But
Yeah, it's fine.
what I'm trying to say is just have a great day, and I hope you find the Lord.
No worries, man. Thank you.